to another episode of the Total R&B Podcast. My name is Loreena, and today I have another amazing guest on the show. He is a two-time Grammy Award-winning vocalist, a songwriter, a producer, an instrumentalist. He's a member of D'Angelo and the Vanguard, Pete Rock and the Soul Brothers, and the Daniel Lanois Trio. And he just released a new project that's out right now called Chosen, which you can purchase on vibe.co. So welcome to the podcast, Jermaine Holmes.
Thank you for having me. And by the way, I love what you are doing with your podcast. And let's do this.
All right. So I know you're here in Montreal currently because you have some shows that are coming up, which is really exciting. So you have two shows in Montreal and a show in Ottawa, right?
Right.
Perfect. Normally when I start the podcast, I always start off with the same question. So what comes to mind when I say, what is your first memory of R&B music?
My first memory of R&B music was, oh man, you're about to give my age away. I remember the 80s. I was riding in a car. My mom had this really old school car. It was a Chevelle. This must have been 84, 85, 86-ish. And we used to have to start the car up and warm it up. So I remember me and my sister were in the back seat with blankets. And we were driving to school. And then this song came on. It was like, and I jumped up. It was Prince.
Oh, wow.
Till the end of time. And I said, oh my God. I said, Mommy, who is that? And she laughed. She said, boy, that's Prince. And that day, I wanted to do music. I wanted to hear more. I did research like, wait, I got to listen to everything this guy has, so that was my intro to music.
You could be any age, and if that song touches you, you just feel it, no matter what age you are.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you experience what is being sung about in the song, like it moves you. So that's something that I love about music.
That's right.
Now, you grew up in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom was a part of a group.
Yes.
So she's been touring. She's won awards. So tell me about is it the Lumsey Sisters? Lumsey Sisters.
They're from Columbia, Mississippi. And my mom and her sisters, they started the group. And they were special. My Aunt Shaquita Lumsey, rest in peace to her. Yesterday was her birthday, as a matter of fact. She was the lead singer. She was one of the most amazing vocalists ever. And not just because she's my aunt, but because she was amazing. And my Aunt Doris, my Aunt Brenda, my mom, Dolores, and her sister, Claudette, they were the main singers from the group. And they started out and just kind of took over. It's a special genre of gospel music called quartet.
Oh, okay.
Gospel. And I watched them many, many nights just go on stage and just tear the church down, as they would say. And people were slain in the spirit, as they would say, would like catch the Holy Ghost. And there were so many emotions, crying, and it was just touching people. And I saw my mom doing this almost every night, and I wanted to play so bad. And, so my grandfather was a pastor, and he sang.
Oh, okay.
He was a singing pastor. He would do things like, well, Jesus said, oh Lord, that I would be with you until to the end. And I was like, wow, Grandpa, you can sing. He was like, yeah, son, where do you think the girls get it from? And my grandmother, she played piano and she sang. So it just was a thing in our family. Everyone sang or played an instrument, and it's just right there. I remember 4 or 5 years old. I'm singing, and my whole family's behind me. They're singing with me, and like it was always a thing. Like the younger ones in the family, everyone sang, everyone played drums or keys or bass, or guitar, or something. It was very young, very young.
Everybody can sing or play instruments. Like, what does that look like?
It looks like, okay, my mom is probably washing dishes. She's washing dishes. Her sister is frying chicken. And then her other sister is grabbing stuff out of the freezer or out of the refrigerator to do the next thing or prepping. But the whole time, we're singing. We're singing for everything. And then it's even a point where they're like, come on, y'all, let's record ourselves. Let's go online and sing. And, it always turns into a concert and rehearsal, I would call it, because they still sing to this day, and I play organ for them, and our family comes out and plays along with them whenever they have shows, and we just keeping the legacy alive. No matter who leaves us, lead singer, the person that sings top, so we adjust and take the places where they were and keeping it going.
No, that's amazing. You guys are going to fall into a song. Everybody knows their parts and their place.
Oh, yeah.
That is so dope to me. I love hearing things like that. And for you, you said you would play the organ for them.
Mm-hmm.
How many instruments do you play?
It's a good question. Well, naturally, drums first, and that's me hearing music as a kid, and
Okay.
a blinker would come on. I would start making music with everything I heard. A choo-choo train, choo-choo. I was just in my head, just music. So drums first, and then second grade I started playing trombone, and my music teacher, he found that I played drums, so he took me off the trombone, put me on drums. Then I said, Mr. Adriano, I can play the piano. And he took me off drums and put me on piano. And my uncles and cousins, they always had basses and guitars. So we would pick it up and we could hear notes. So we would find them. No formal training.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was like, did you take any lessons for any of them?
Trombone I did, but second grade.
Yeah.
But I kind of cheated because once I learned where the notes were, I could hear them.
Okay.
So
Because you naturally just have an ear for music.
I would just find the notes, and then when we get in there for what do you call it, like band shows, I would play all the notes because I knew where they were, and then I would add a little stuff, little flavor to it.
But that's crazy. That's in the second grade. So like elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, I never heard that. Because I know like normally for us, like in elementary school, we play like the recorder is what we have, or they have like a xylophone somewhere in the corner. Like we don't have full out instruments until you get to high school. So high school is where we had like the jazz band. And so at first I tried to play the flute, but then she's like, no, I was the only one. She's like, this is a jazz band. So you gotta move over to another instrument. So then I played alto saxophone. And then one year there was too many of us. So I was like, I volunteered to play the trumpet, but I was like, oh no, give me back my saxophone.
Right.
And I went back. But that to me, that was like high school. I don't know if I could have done any of that in elementary. That's amazing.
I love music so much. It's fun to me. It's not like work. They always say, get a job that you love doing.
Yeah.
And it's not a job. It's just like you're doing what you would do anyway. So me having instruments around and just being able to sing and all these things, it was fun. So anything that came musically, I felt challenged to like conquer it.
Okay.
Like Super Mario Brothers. I'm going to get to the last stage and beat King Koopa, but that's how I felt about instruments. Like I'm going to learn it and continue to learn, like just stay in a creative mindset and on every instrument, try to reach your highest potential.
Okay.
And then when you reach your highest potential, there's someone out there who can take you to the next level. So
That is true. You know, your grandfather, he's like a singing pastor, all that music. And so you know you want to do music, but how do you start building your career?
well, it started in church. So I would be playing in church and I would sing in church. And the next thing you know, someone says, "Hey, I have a wedding. Can you play at my wedding?" Sure. And can you sing "You Are So Beautiful" to me when I walk down the aisle? And I'm like, of course. So I'm like, who can teach me better than my grandmother? Grandma, I gotta sing this song. And she was like, it was almost like the same rendition Babyface did on Martin Lawrence when they got married.
Okay.
But my grandmother, she had different verses. Love, peace, and happiness you bring. Love, peace, and happiness you bring. And then you're everything I hope for. Everything I need. Oh, you are so beautiful to me. And that was the first time I actually stepped out. It was a wedding for Thomasina and Orlando Bush.
Oh, wow.
They both are not here with us anymore, but uh, that sparked my wanting to sing more. And from there, I started rounding up the troops, all the church musicians, all the church singers in the choir, saying, "Hey, let's get together. Let's do a concert." So I called my cousins, all my friends. We would get together and we started our own movement. By the time I hit 18, and
Did you guys have a name, like a band?
we called ourselves FFL, Family for Life.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love that.
And it was just a collective of singers, and everyone would get like a set in our set. So I may do like 4 or 5 songs, and my cousin Red, who sang with us as well with D'Angelo, he would do like 4 or 5 songs. Then my cousin RL, who also sang with D'Angelo, he would do a few songs. And then we had a big band. It was really cool to like experiment at that point. And it got to the point where we were like very active and slowed down, but we never slowed down. We kept pushing, hoping something great would happen. And it didn't until later, once we understood who we were and what we brought to the table. And yeah, that was like one of the groundbreaking moments that started us off.
Okay.
As independent artists.
I know sometimes I was talking to another singer, Dre Scott, and he was saying like a lot of times for a gig, like people don't want to pay what they need to pay the artist.
Right.
So like what things did you learn during that time?
We learned that, okay, if we book a venue to do a show, that just the people that come in might not be enough money for us to sustain ourselves. So what do? You make a record so that if someone likes it, they'll buy it. So that's extra money, another stream of income. Then it's like, what else can we do? Who has a liquor license? Get someone to bring some liquor in and we sell liquor that night. And then it's like, okay, what else? When people drink, what do they want to do? They want to eat. So get somebody to make some chicken and some fish and some, desserts and stuff. And before you knew it, all of these things were making more money than the actual show. So you learn how to kind of take care of yourself. Or on the flip side, to say from a artist perspective, okay, my thing, I love songs. So I'll have love songs the entire time, but there'll be like some older lady like, "Hey, why don't you do any up-tempo songs? Like, we want to dance." It's like, really? Yeah, what if I did James Brown? Oh, we love James Brown. So I'll add James Brown into it. And then now the whole crowd is dancing. And I'm like, wow, thank you. You know, so you learn different things moving around the stage. Instead of just staying in one place, and it's like, you got to move around, do some dance moves or something. But I can't dance. Well, get you a little two-step going on, you know, so I got me a little two-step, you know, and then that works. And, you know, engaging with the people always helps because those are your fans. These are the people coming to see you and coming to give creative criticism as well, too. So it's always never-ending learning process.
So for you all to be open to that, to make your shows even better, I think is really important. And I think that is what's gotten all of you to do great things later on, right?
Right.
So that's pretty amazing. So from doing that with your family, what's the next step? Like, how do you get your big break?
Well, it was family. So in 10th grade, it's like 97, and I'm giving my age. I was getting in trouble for being a bad kid, and my mom said, I'm sick of this, Jermaine. She said, you have two options. She said, you go down to Mississippi and live with your Uncle Mike and work on the farm. I said, on the farm? They have snakes and all that kind of stuff out there. Or you can go to Virginia and go to Uncle Larry's house. Uncle Larry, he sounded like Marvin Gaye and Al Green mixed together, and like amazing singer. But I also have my other cousins, RL and Lindell, who play bass guitar and drums. So I'm coming in on keys. We have a group. So I said, I'm going to Uncle Larry's house. So I get to Uncle Larry's house. We start a group called the Lumsey Singers.
Okay.
And he said, we're going to get us a gig going. So our first gig just so happened to be D'Angelo's family, the Henley Singers. His first cousin, Marlon, was the music director of the Henley Singers. And we did our very first gig there. We performed, and it was quiet after we finished. And I'm looking around like, man, we must have did horrible. And Marlon got up and said, this is their first time performing. And there was a roar in the room. And I said, wow. And he also said, I got to introduce you to my cousin. I said, who's your cousin? He said, D'Angelo. I said, yeah, right. I said, everybody is saying D'Angelo's their cousin, you know. He said, no, for real. He's really my first cousin. So I said, okay. He brought us in the studio. We recorded a song. And he said, I'm going to tell my family about you. And he did exactly what he said. I left back to Jersey, but my cousin RL ended up getting really tight with D'Angelo. And he would come to his house every day. And it was like a safe space for him to go and just be himself and listen. And he taught him so much and listened to music and talked about Parliament and Bootsy and Sly and all that stuff. D said, when I go out, I'm bringing you with me, RL. He said, who can harmonize with us? And he said, my cousin Jermaine. And he told me this years before it happened. And I was getting kind of upset because I didn't believe it. And sure enough, when it came time for the second coming, when he made his comeback in 2012, they called. Well, he didn't call. His manager, Alan Leeds, called.
Okay.
He said, Jermaine, this is Alan Leeds. D'Angelo wants you to come to rehearsals. And I said, what? I said, yes, I'll be there. Yes, I'm there. I'm nervous. I don't know what to expect. I'm thinking there's going to be like 15, 20 background singers that I have to battle against. So I'm preparing like, okay, this is going to be my angle. And then I'm going to come like this and show them. But when I got there was no one else there. So he said, what songs do you know? I said, man, I know gospel. He said, you know the Jubes? I said, what you know about the Jews? They from Mississippi, like my family's from Mississippi. They've eaten at our family's house. I said, what you know about the Jews? He started singing, and myself and my cousin harmonized with him, and everyone in the room started clapping. And D'Angelo and Alan Leeds, they said, come with me. I said, I'm getting fired already.
Why did you think you were getting fired?
I don't know, but it just felt like it. They said, let's go. And I'm walking out with them, and they said, Jermaine, this is your job as long as you want to keep it. And they asked me, do you know another person that can harmonize with us? And I said, let me call my cousin Red. And that's how the three of us ended up without Big Break.
Working with D'Angelo, working with, the band and everything, and going on tour. Because I know that could be, well, you have some like experience already with your family, but I know that could be like kind of like a shock because it's.
Well, being with my family first taught me so much, but it wasn't formal training like jazz school or anything like that. They never went to school either, but their harmonies are tight. The band was tight. They didn't play like trying stuff out and doing extra runs and stuff. No, you better stay on point or you're going to get that look. Like, and then it's like, you messed up. But when we got with D'Angelo, that was our confirmation that everything we learned was legit. So he said, I need that. Exactly what you did. Give me some more. Like, really? Yeah. And then it's like, no, I could be myself and sing this stuff and learning at the same time from him. So the second day of rehearsal, the rest of the band comes. So I walk in and I see like all these famous musicians that I've been watching for years. Chris Daddy Dave on drums. He was with Mint Condition. There's Questlove in the corner. There's Jesse Johnson, who played with Morris Day in a time, and he was with Prince. Pino Palladino is on bass, and The Who, and I'm like, what the hell is happening in this room? Kendra Foster walks in, and she was singing with Parliament, and I'm like, wow, just seeing Alan Leeds, he was James Brown and Prince's tour managers. Kevin Lyles, all these people, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I'm in the same room, but I'm doubting myself at the time, not realizing you're here because you have the talent. But I doubted myself the whole time. And Jesse Johnson was like pivotal. He would say, Jermaine, you get out there and you sing your heart out every night. He said, if you forget your note, just make sure you're not in the wrong key. And I thought about it and I said, man, that is right. The audience would never know unless you hit a bum note, so it was beautiful. Then my first tour was a European tour. I had never been to Europe. I've been to Morocco with my mom and played keys for them, but now I'm in Paris, I'm in UK, Australia, Japan, everywhere. It's just like, I'm with one of the people who is considered the greatest of all time. And he created a music genre that is deep. So just to be a part of the legacy and to travel and just do all the amazing things, just the last rehearsal, everything. It was just one of the most amazing experiences you could possibly deal with.
That is crazy. And amazing too, but it just speaks to how it just feels like you were just prepared. Your journey prepared you for that moment.
Yes.
To get absolutely. That job.
But the key thing is you prepare your whole life for these moments because they don't come. Sometimes people don't get a chance. And then some people get a chance and they're not ready. So they'll never get a second chance. So when you come in prepared and you're a sponge, it's like, hey, I might not know this, but if you teach me, I'm going to lock it in and I'm going to be able to do it. So one thing about D'Angelo is he would sing all the notes, play it on the piano, and say, "Get your phone out, record this." So he'll sing every single note out to you on the phone and be like, "Did you get it?" "Yes." So when you come back the next day, know your part. And that's the whole thing. When you learn something, when he teaches you something, learn it, you know your part. And then he says, "Now add your flavor to it." It's like, oh, wow, I can do that? No, you're serious? I can add my own in between stuff? He said, "Yeah, I need that." He said, "That makes me sing better. That pushes me." And then he said, "When you see me and he start doing this, and he make the mean face, it's because we're pushing him to that level. So now the audience feels him even more. So like I said, it's just these memorable moments that last forever. And a teacher. So I give these same jewels out to younger artists. Sing with everything you have. Every time, like it's your last time. And that was our thing. We didn't come out to play. We coming out to kick behind, but like they were saying in church, like, you ain't coming to play. We coming to give it our all because literally, I can be here today and leave here and be gone tomorrow. And then it's like, what did you leave behind? Was it you trying to be cool and sing, or you trying to do all this runs and stuff? No, you're giving your all, and that's when people feel it. So just like a D'Angelo, like when you go in anything he's done, all his concerts, you're like, man, this dude is amazing. James Brown, this dude is amazing. That's the feeling that I want to leave.
Well, you guys definitely did that with the shows and everything, even like the albums, because you won 2 Grammys being on his album. What was that process like recording the album? Were you guys in the studio together, or was it separate?
Yeah, it was we recorded our parts in 2012.
Okay.
We went to Jim Henson Studios in the same room they did We Are the World. So he always loved to go and record where the greats were. And he could feel the energy in the room. We recorded on the album with him there, and straight from there we did the BET Awards. Yeah, but that was an experience. Nervousness, I was shaking and everything, but we were in like booths. And they were set up right next to each other so we could see each other. And he was like, "Come on." And we actually did one takes for all of that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. We record separately together, and then they'd be like, "All right, let's do it again." And then we record it again. It's like, "All right, we're going to go inside the other room to use the same mic they use for We Are the World." It's this huge, long condenser mic. And we sang there. We sang there and did the same thing. I did like a lot of the high parts on there. And yeah, that was just an experience. He said, "No, I think we're good." I'm like, "You sure? Let's go listen to it." And we listened back. It's like, yeah, I love it. And a couple years later, Black Messiah comes out, and
I heard this one.
he's like, "Man, Grammy people are going to be calling you." What? Me? Like, yeah, so I'm just thankful for that dude. So many lessons and blessings. Like meeting Pete Brown, meeting Daniel Lenoir. It's through him. My whole journey was a domino effect blessing from him. People call me, "I want to work with you because you work with D'Angelo." And now I'm on a Grammy nominated record right now with Nate Smith as a lead singer, not a background singer. So somewhere down the line, I learned something, that worked. And just keeping the integrity of what D'Angelo would have wanted and my Aunt Shaquita and my grandparents would have wanted. You know, my dad was an amazing singer as well. Um, just keeping the integrity of it all and living by that. You know, live for the fun, die for the fun. So that's Jermaine Holmes.
So you said you got your gig with Pete Rock because of working with D'Angelo. So what was it like working with Pete Rock? Like, how did that come together?
So a couple of friends of mine who I've met through D'Angelo, Marcus Machado, he's an amazing guitar player, another child prodigy that played for Jose James and John Baptiste and Daniel Caesar and Daru Jones. He's a drummer that has played for Jack White and just so many others. They did a show with Pete Rock and he didn't have a singer. I said, bro, what's wrong with y'all? I said, you got the Soul Brother #1, but there ain't no soul singer. I said, why y'all call me, put me on? They told Pete, said, hey, D'Angelo's background singer want to come and get down. And I remember first show, he's like, hey, we ain't got no money to pay you, but you can come up. I said, what? I don't need no money to Pete Rock. So I get there in rehearsal and I sang. And Pete Rock, he was so gracious. He said, thank you. He was like, God sent you. He looked in the air. He said, God sent you here. And I said, man, I wouldn't want to be in any other place. And that's when our connection happened. We ended up doing Peace Instrumentals 3, Pete Rock and the Soul Brothers. I did all the vocals on that record. Like every vocal you hear, even the ones that sound like samples, that was me in character.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's been a very close friend of mine ever since. So that is Marcus Machado and Daru Jones putting the word in for me. Just how I met those guys were funny. I'm on tour with D'Angelo in Amsterdam, and I see a guy who's not dressed like people from the Netherlands. He has on a New York Yankee fitted, a North Face, and Timberlands.
Oh, okay.
That's the East Coast thing. New York, New Jersey. I said, you're not from here. No, I'm from Brooklyn. Me and him got cool. So I met him at the concert. Daru Jones, he's at a concert in New Jersey. Chris Dave is like, yo, this Daru Jones, y'all need to meet. Okay, bye. He walks out. So me and Daru, we got tight. And when Marcus came back from the Netherlands, our first gig together was at the Blue Note in New York. So that was that story of how Pete Rock came in.
That's amazing. Been doing music for such a long time at such a high level. But they're both, him and D'Angelo, are just humble artists, which is crazy because on the outside looking in, you know, you see these like larger than life characters, right? Mm-hmm. But I was talking about that to someone else. Like, we forget that they're also human.
Right.
We just look at them as fans, you know? So that's pretty cool to just know that, how grateful he was that you had joined the band too. So that's amazing. And from those two, like D'Angelo or P Rock, like what's been one of your favorite moments on tour?
Man.
There's probably a lot, but.
Well, I said the same thing earlier today on my radio station for Ottawa, but it was the same question. So I said probably my favorite moment was when we performed at the Apollo. And we were singing How Does It Feel? And I was watching like grown men crying, like real tears uncontrollably. And there were a bunch of ladies that were crying. After we finished, we walked off one by one. And I was like the maybe third before last person to walk out. So I would walk out, run and get my towel, wipe my face off, spray some cologne, and go to the front where people walk out. And a young lady came up to me. She said, I've never been to church before, I've never experienced church. I wasn't raised in a church. She said, but I know this is what it feels like. She said, I caught chills and I caught all these emotions. I said, that's what happens when people give their all. You feel it. And it's like we're leaving everything right here on the line, you know, and for me, that's why I do this. I don't do this for fun or for show or anything. Yeah, I want to take care of my family, but at the same time, there's a message. There's I want people to remember me. You know, like he was one of those ones, you know. So Pete Rock, huh. So for me to work with Pete Rock was like a dream because I have a holy trinity of music.
Okay.
Jay Dilla,
Okay.
who I didn't get to meet because he passed away. And it was D'Angelo and Pete Rock. So I got to work with D'Angelo and Pete Rock. But just my greatest moment is probably him bragging about us. You know, he would tell all of his friends and online, I got Jermaine Holmes on the vocals. And I'm like, wow, Pete Rock just basically gave me a drop just naturally, you know, and just to make him proud, you know, like not just for me to work with him, but I'm a part of his legacy, you know. Even with Dilla, I always wanted to work with him, but I got a chance to work with T3 from Slum Village. And he said, send me a beat. So I said, okay. I sent him a beat. He called me back and he was tearing up on the phone. He said, man, you remind me of my brother. I said, wait, what? He said, yeah, you remind me of my brother. He's like, thank you. And I said, bro, don't compare me to Dilla, but I did study the man, you know, every song for years. So that made me feel good knowing that you're doing it right, you know? So those are my moments as far as like my holy trinity. And then there's Daniel Lanois. Oh. I didn't even know who he was till D'Angelo put me in the room with him. And I was like, why is D'Angelo so into this guy? Until I went into the rabbit hole of listening to his music, and what they created was ambient sound. They were the first ones to create this. D'Angelo was a similar cat. They created stuff. So these are the people he learned. James Brown he created something. You know, Bootsy and Sly, they created what they were doing. No one else was doing it. So I have so much respect for these guys, and they keep the integrity in the music. They're not trying to be like anyone else or sound like it. They have their own thing. So I try to be the same way. You know, everything has been done before under the sun. Yeah. You can do it and you keep your integrity. So that's what I learned from these guys.
Angelo with Daniel Lanois, like those are big names. And if nobody does know Daniel Lanois, like he produced stuff for U2, which is huge, right?
Emmylou Harris, Peter Gabriel, Paul Simon, Willie Nelson, Billy Bob Thornton, and you can go forever. Yeah. But Robbie Robertson, these records he was doing, he was putting these artists on the map. These records all won Grammys, you know, and it was like this producer comes in and like, let me help you out. I'll produce your record. And then it's the best record you ever have that makes your career, you know? So I let him know every time I speak to him, I said, remember who you are. This is what you did, you know? And sometimes you don't get the same love for the things you've done with other artists. Yeah. But when you do it, it might not be received the same. But I just always like to remind him, remember who you are. These things you did are amazing pieces. So keep your integrity and keep it going. And that's my brother for life. I love that man.
So for you, because I remember before, like in the beginning, auditioning for D'Angelo, and then coming in the second day when the band came, and there's all these like famous instrumentalists, and everybody's there, and you kind of felt like imposter syndrome. So when did you feel more like secure in what you're doing and knew that like you're on like the right path?
When D'Angelo told me,
Okay.
I believe in y'all. He said, y'all the best background section I ever had. And I'm like, wait a minute, man, you had Anthony Hamilton, you had all these people that were amazing singers around. And for what we were doing, it was high levels. I'll never say I'm better than anyone, but I will say that we did our thing. You know, we represented and made him proud. So
Definitely.
proud of that.
I want to talk about your music that you have out now, which is Chosen is the new album. So tell us about Chosen. Like, why did you name the project Chosen?
Well, I named the project Chosen because I kind of felt like that's how I feel. Like, since I was little, I could hear music. Everything was music. I tried everything. I drove trucks. I lift boxes. I worked all these jobs. I did all this stuff, but it always brought me back to music. And people, when I would sing, people would tell me, you need to be on. You need to be signed to a label or doing this. And it never worked like that. But I just knew inside, like, this is what I was made for. So I just kind of like, I'm older now, so I'm not going to have the same topics as I was when I was 18, you know, talking about girls and money and the kind of cars you drive, all that stuff. I wanted to make it positive. So I wanted to kind of tell my story in a form that people could relate to. So love songs are real love songs, but they're not explicit. Like some of these songs we hear, they talk about what they're going to do and all that stuff. Like that's not necessary. And talk about things that's going on in the world and give a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of tell the story of how you were brought up and, you know, just there's pain in these songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to just express myself in a way that's respectable, like to my mom, who's a minister, and my family, and just the people around me. And because I have a bunch of nieces, nephews, and great nieces and great nephews, and they're going to be like, that's my uncle. And if I'm up there talking about, you know, crazy stuff, they're going to be like, maybe they're going to try to do the things that I was doing. And I don't want that. I did all that stuff when I was young. It's a new day.
And talk about the cover. So we have like a skyline or an image of where you're from, Brunswick, New Jersey, and then there's like one rose that's there. So what's the meaning of everything?
So if it's all concrete there, it's not supposed to be a rose that come out of the ground. So that concrete kind of represents how we came up. It was hard, but somehow, through the grace of God, that we were able to still grow and bloom and flourish and, you know, have accomplishments and, you know, things like that happen in our lives. So, like I said, I've never went to school and all that stuff or audition. I tried out for American Idol.
Really?
But they ain't accept me, you know? So I'm glad I didn't. Contracts, I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, so that was me saying, like, indiscreetly or subliminally saying that you can grow from the worst situation and still be this beautiful thing, whatever it is. So that was from that part.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. Definitely makes sense. you mentioned him before, T3 from Slum Village, but he's featured on the track. It's one of the only features there, and he's on a song "When I Die."
Mhm.
So, how did you come up with that song? And what was it like? Well, you spoke about it a little bit already working with him, but how was it to have him be on the track with you?
Well, that's important to me because we've both experienced it. We both experienced someone close to us leaving. And it's like the hook says, when I die, is the hood gonna miss me? I can't tell because it seemed like they don't love me. And that comes from when I put out records myself, it's like the real ones are there, they support, but when I'm working with D'Angelo or Pete Rock or I'm doing the award shows, everybody's, I want tickets, I want to go. So it seems like they don't love me. You know, and T3, I hit him up, I said, bro, I need you. Send it over. And I sent it to him and he sent it back in like an hour, completely finished. And it was just like he told a story over his verse, and it was just fit perfectly, you know. So I'm grateful for him, just to have as a brother and a mentor. You know, these guys I can call and ask questions about the industry, about being signed, and like how you should move or release things, and how to protect yourself, and because they've been through a lot of the worst situations with labels and just trying to find themselves. And that's what we go through as artists. We trying to figure out the best way to do things. So he is a brother, mentor. I appreciate him.
No, that's dope. And but the whole album, like I've been listening to it, but I'm one of those people I can't listen to it once and then just be like, this is what I think about it. I really have to like take it in. But there's so much. It's really good. So even like for me today, like I had "Don't Sweat the Small Stuff" on repeat because I was like, ooh, this is what I need today.
So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. For many be called on, but very few chosen. So don't sweat the small stuff. You know, that's a Bible verse.
Yeah.
I have my mom's gonna get me for this, but it's in Corinthians, and it's just that so the last shall be first, and it's like all of us have been in a situation where we were more qualified, or maybe even better than a person that was in position, and then that person that's up there all high, they're gonna come down at some point. So it's just an eye opener to people that are at the bottom. We going up. Mm-hmm. Those positions always change, you know, so don't sweat the small stuff. Your time is coming.
Yeah, no, I needed that good word today. So that's why I had that song on repeat. The album is not on streaming platforms, so they have to go to vibe.co in order to get the album. So why did you choose to go that route instead of having it also on the DSPs?
Well, DSPs don't pay well at all. And Vibe, you're gonna find out who your real tribe is. And it's a great platform that is great for artists that may not have the money to buy records or buy CDs or buy t-shirts and pay to get it printed up and then try to sell it. So with this platform, every time someone downloads, you get an alert. Every time someone buys your merch, you get an alert. Now, if you put it out on DistroKid or one of those other places, it's going on all streaming platforms, including YouTube. You know, Bandcamp allows you to listen to every song before you purchase. If you really support the artist, those snippets that we put up, that's enough for you to be like, yeah, let me go get this. So I would rather have 1,000 people that buy my album and buy my merch than to have 100,000 people who listen to my first album in the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even make $1,000 from the whole time off a streaming platform. So I prefer to have direct to consumer access. And that way it's just easier to maintain. And maybe at some point I'll put a song or two up on the streaming platforms, but you're going to have to come to this one place. And that's the safest place as an artist to have your music. One place where you know you can get everything that's Jermaine Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, merch, live streams. I can do subscriptions where I do special things for the different tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Drop as much music as you want, and there's a team of people at this site or platform that help you see your vision through. You know, so it's a beautiful platform to be a part of. And that's why I would deal with Vibe instead of streaming platforms. Because you're giving it away. You know how many people came to me, man, I love your album. And I said, man, the only song you can hear is the intro.
Yeah.
It's Jermaine Holmes. Who? So I said, oh, you listen to the intro. And then once they realized that I know that they didn't listen to it, I said, so what's your favorite song? And then I said, you know, I get an alert when someone buys it. I just want you to know. So they're like, oh, well, I'm going to buy it. So you pretty much know if they're lying to you. So you find your tribe. Okay. And this is the best way. You're doing shows, more people come. So you have to leave your email and your name. So all the people that actually buy your product, you have their email and their name. Mm-hmm. So now the next time you release something, you have this group of your tribe that you can send it directly to, who's going to support you because they like it. Okay. And that builds. So 5-10 years from now, that 1,000 people may be 10,000 people. Well, if you're like me and you're like, I'm going to drop 4 or 5 records this year, mm-hmm. You're living good. You're taking care of yourself. Your tribe has supported you. And you're able to do what you love. And not have to say, you know what? I got to put this aside for a minute so I can go work, so I can pay my bills and take care of my family and my mother. And, you know, so this is why I use that.
No, but in it, another one is Loreena, who has been selling his stuff on his own. There's Raphael Sadiq. He has like a club where you can like sign up and you get like special edition vinyls and stuff like that. So I like that artists are starting to take control of their careers.
Yes.
Because you hear just so many horror stories with labels and contracts and mm-hmm. people getting paid or people can't, feed their family or themselves even. Right. And they're signed to a big label and
not owning their masters.
Yeah, that too.
The labels own their masters for 20, 30 years and make millions and millions, probably billions of dollars off these mm-hmm. artists. And there's nothing they can do about it. They can't even keep track of it because they don't have the information mm-hmm. to track everything. So they've been losing for years, and now these artists are independent. Yeah. So that's the way to go.
Definitely. I think that is the way to go. So you have shows coming up, Montreal, Ottawa. What are you excited about those shows? Like, what songs are you excited to sing, especially from like the new album?
Well, Under the Same Sky, one of my favorites. Overcomes. Mm-hmm. Came from the bottom, but I'm headed to the top. Through the pain and the pressure, I was never going to stop. These are words that only people can relate, that were at the bottom and they rose up. So that's like refreshing mm-hmm. to a person that really remembers I remember when we didn't have heat and we had to use the stove. like carbon monoxide and all that stuff all in there. We could have died, but this is what we had to go through. There's times where we couldn't eat what we wanted to, and we had to eat hot dogs and eggs for days because that was $1, So it's like, man, you see me now, I'm a lot bigger. We don't just eat hot dogs, but it's just it's like a testimony and encouragement at the same time. Like you can make it. You can be anything you want to be. Just put your work in. Put your feet on the ground and go for it. Learn from your mistakes. Write it down. Like, okay, the first one I did, it came out like this. Okay, these were the pros and cons. Okay, the next one, we're not doing nothing we messed up on for this first one, but we learn from this one, and then we do it again. And then eventually, you're going to find your thing that works for you, and you work that till you die.
No, the album is very encouraging. All the songs on it, yeah. I'm definitely gonna continue to listen to it, dissect the album. I wanted to talk about the production too. Did you produce everything on the album, or did you work with somebody?
I had on Teach You How to Love Again, I had a string arrangement from my brother from the Netherlands, Yannick Hewat. He's an amazing string player. And he blessed me. He said, "You cannot put this album out without me on it." Okay, here's the song. And that was great. I also had a drummer from Israel, Tamal Samples. He's an amazing drummer that came from the bottom. In Israel, they didn't appreciate what he was doing musically because they have a certain thing with music, how it goes there. But he, like Dilla and D'Angelo and James Brown grooves, and he said, here, they don't rock with me. So I said, man, I rock with you, bro. So I had him on drums for a few songs as well. But everything else was pretty much me. And I didn't want to have too many features because I wanted to showcase what I could do.
Yeah.
But the next one is going to have a lot more instrumentation. Bunch more features.
Okay. So we're going to be excited for that. We have to stay locked in and make sure that we follow you and also get the album on Vibe.co so that when something does come out, we are the first to know.
Right.
So I love that. Any last words or anything that you want to share with us before we wrap up?
Well, I would just say for anyone that's out there that does music or has a dream, any type of talent or vision, it might be dreams or whatever. I had dreams, like literally dreams of things that happened. And I just want to tell people, you can do it. You can make it. You can be successful. And the only thing that can stop you is you. So when you reach that roadblock, figure out how to get over it. And then once you get over it, it's not a roadblock anymore. Because anytime you come into that problem, you know what to do. So just have the mindset of, I can do anything. I can get through anything, and you'll make it.
Well, coming on the podcast, sharing all these stories from your family to D'Angelo, Pete Rock, Daniel Lanois. You work with so many amazing people. I know you're going to continue to work with amazing people. And yeah, I'm excited for everything that you have coming up. But right now, we all have to purchase Chosen, which is at vyb.co. Yeah, so thank you so much, Jermaine Holmes, for coming on the podcast.
And thank you for having me.
Of course. This is the Total R&B Podcast. My name is Loreena. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at total.rnb. And I will be back with a brand new interview.